Sure, an elegant way out will be found by the 28th of February, and it will involve both sides conceding a little ground, but in a deal that they can both sell to their domestic constituents. I think the key issue here is, while it's an economic problem, the solution is really politically motivated.
Yeah, 28th of February being significant because that's when Greece effectively runs out of money.
It is.
Yeah. So what sort of things might they do a deal around?
I think for the Germans, two things are important. One is that Greece can't be seen to walk away from its debt obligations. Real concern around that is contagion. If a compromise is reached with Greece, there's an argument to say a similar deal would need to be offered to Spain, Portugal, and to a lesser extent, Ireland. If the situation arises where it's seen the debt burden for Greece is definitely unsustainable as it is, the economy has shrunk by 25% since the start of the crisis. But if attention is drawn to fiscal sustainability or unsustainability, the Germans don't want the spotlight back on the economies of France and Italy because they are much too large for the Germans to bail out, whereas they can reach an agreement with Greece potentially.
Quite. Now, one of the big Greek proposals is for them to swap some debt for new bonds, which would be where the coupon payment would be linked to Greek GDP growth. Why might the Eurozone not necessarily want that?
I think when we say the Eurozone, it really is the Germans who are leading the way here, and obviously the ECB as well. And it's something the ECB might more readily agree to, perhaps, than Merkel's administration. But I think what's very important to the Germans is reform. So if the Greek government was to commit itself to a real fight against corruption, a real move to collect taxes far more effectively than they have been in the past, then the Germans might be willing to do a deal on growth-linked bonds. I think there is overall consensus that a problem for the Eurozone is lack of growth. We need fiscal stimulus to create growth across the entire Union. And,
of course, one could say the Germans could play a very major part in that themselves.
Well, they are. We could argue they're contributing to the problem. Their current account surplus for 2014 was 7.4%, which is much too high. Their current account reserves, I think, exceed those of China at the moment. And basically, to help the Eurozone, the Germans need to import more and export less.